boxing world is buzzing with anticipation as a seismic clash looms on the horizon, set to unfold on November 14th in Miami. This isn't just another fight. It's a collision of worlds, pitting Jake Paul, the polarizing YouTube star-turned-boxer, against Gervonta Tank Davis, a pound-for-pound elite whose devastating power has left opponents reeling. The matchup has sparked a firestorm of debate with voices from all corners of the sport, fighters, promoters, analysts, and fans weighing in on what this fight means for boxing's present and future. Some see it as a spectacle that could redefine the sport's commercial landscape, while others view it as a dangerous mismatch that threatens boxing's integrity. Regardless of where one stands, the narrative surrounding this showdown is as compelling as it is divisive. At the heart of the controversy is the stark contrast between the two fighters. Jake Paul, at 28 years old, brings size, youth, and an undeniable knack for generating headlines. Standing over 6 feet tall and weighing in at over 200 pounds, he's a physical specimen who's leveraged his social media fame to carve out a space in boxing. His opponents thus far have included a mix of former athletes, MMA fighters, and lesser-known boxers, with his most notable bout being a competitive decision loss to Tommy Fury. Paul's critics argue he's yet to face a true test, labeling him a domestic-level fighter who thrives on spectacle rather than skill. Yet, his supporters point to his ability to draw massive audiences, sell out arenas, and bring new eyes to a sport that's struggled to stay relevant in the modern era. For Paul, this fight is a chance to silence doubters and prove he's more than a gimmick. On the other side stands Gervonta Davis, a 30-year-old lightweight dynamo whose record speaks for itself. Known for his lightning-fast hands and knockout power, Davis is a world-class talent who's dispatched opponents with surgical precision. At 5'5" and likely weighing around 150 pounds for this fight, he's giving up significant size to Paul. But what he lacks in physical stature, he makes up for in ring IQ, experience, and a ferocity that's earned him a place among boxing's elite. To Davis's camp, this fight is a foregone conclusion, a chance to expose Paul's limitations and reaffirm the supremacy of skill over hype. The announcement of this fight has sent shockwaves through the boxing community, amplified by the platform it's set to air on, Netflix. Moving away from traditional pay-per-view models, this global streaming giant promises to deliver the bout to millions, further blurring the lines between traditional boxing and the crossover spectacle Paul represents. The choice of Miami as the venue adds another layer of drama. Dade County, a place synonymous with high-energy sporting events, is described as a war stage where the stakes feel personal. Fans still remember the Logan Paul vs. Floyd Mayweather exhibition that took place in Florida, and the parallels are impossible to ignore. This isn't just a fight, it's a cultural moment, a clash of old-school boxing purists against the new wave of influencer-driven entertainment. The build-up to this event has been anything but quiet. Promoters, led by figures like Turki Al-Sheikh, have leaned into the hype, framing the fight as a win-win for boxing. Al-Sheikh, a key player in Saudi Arabia's push to host and promote major sporting events, sees this as part of a broader mission to elevate boxing's global profile. His vision extends beyond the kingdom, with events planned in places like Newcastle and London, signaling a shift toward making boxing more accessible and less reliant on pay-per-view gatekeepers. Al-Sheikh's involvement adds legitimacy to the matchup, but it also fuels the debate over whether this is a genuine contest or a calculated money grab. His comments about Jake Paul's presence at recent events and potential future matchups, like a speculative bout with Anthony Joshua, only intensify the buzz, suggesting that Paul's influence in the sport is far from fleeting. Not everyone is on board with the spectacle. The fight's initial plan to take place in Atlanta was derailed when Georgia officials pulled the permits, citing the significant weight difference between Paul and Davis as a safety concern. The Georgia Athletic Commission's head didn't mince words, calling the matchup the dumbest thing he'd ever heard and accusing promoters of pushing a fight that shouldn't have been greenlit. This decision forced organizers to pivot to Miami, but the controversy lingers. Critics like Duke MC Kenzie, a former world champion, echo these concerns, labeling the fight dangerous due to the size disparity. MC Kenzie argues that Paul, who walks around at over 18 stone 252 pounds, hasn't earned the right to share the ring with a seasoned pro like Davis. His warning carries weight, reminding fans that boxing isn't just about entertainment, it's a sport where mismatches can lead to serious consequences. Other voices in the boxing world have been equally blunt. Shakur Stevenson, a rising star in his own right, dismisses the idea of Paul winning as laughable. Tank outboxing Jake is a foregone conclusion, Stevenson says, emphasizing Davis's technical superiority. He sees the fight as a chance for Davis to deliver a painful lesson to Paul, reinforcing the gap between a YouTube star and a world-class fighter. Similarly, Jeff Mayweather, uncle of Floyd Mayweather, calls the matchup weird due to the size difference. He acknowledges the promotional logic, big names equal big money, but questions the fairness of pitting a 200-plus-pound cruiserweight against a lightweight. Mayweather's critique highlights the tension between boxing as a sport and boxing as a business, a divide that this fight epitomizes. Yet, not everyone is writing Paul off. Dana White, the UFC president with a keen eye for combat sports, points out that Paul's size and ability to smother smaller opponents could pose a real threat. White doesn't sugarcoat the challenge Davis faces, noting that Paul's bulk could disrupt the smaller man's rhythm and turn the fight into a physical struggle rather than a technical boxing match. White's perspective reframes the bout as a high-stakes chess game where strategy and physicality could outweigh pure skill. His comments add intrigue, suggesting that Paul might have a path to victory, even if it's an unconventional one. Tyson Fury, never one to shy away from stirring the pot, takes a different angle. He challenges the notion that Davis is better than Paul by asking what better even means in today's boxing landscape. Is it about selling tickets, filling stadiums, dominating social media? Fury argues that Paul excels in these areas, making him a force in the sports business side. While he concedes Davis's superiority in the ring, Fury's commentary shifts the conversation from who's the better boxer to who's moving the needle for the sport. It's a provocative stance, one that resonates with younger fans who see Paul as a disruptor shaking up a stagnant industry. Fury's words don't predict a Paul victory, but they frame the fight as a referendum on boxing's future, skill versus spectacle, tradition versus innovation. Johnny Nelson, a respected voice in boxing commentary, offers a more grounded take. He acknowledges Paul's ability, noting that he went the distance with Tommy Fury, but he's quick to temper expectations. Jake Paul can fight, Nelson says, but he's a good domestic fighter. In Nelson's view, Paul's resume doesn't yet stack up to the elite level, and facing someone like Davis is a massive leap. His analysis is a reality check for fans caught up in the hype, reminding them that the gap between club level and world class is vast. Yet, Nelson's tone isn't dismissive. He respects Paul's grit while questioning whether he can survive a fighter of Davis's caliber. Spencer Oliver, another analyst, confirms the fight's legitimacy, pointing to reports from Ring magazine as evidence that this isn't just talk. He reveals that negotiations for a potential Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight fell through due to broadcast rights disputes, paving the way for the Davis matchup. Oliver's commentary adds context, showing how the politics of boxing networks, promoters, and money shape what fans see in the ring. He also shares his prediction, favoring Davis to win but acknowledging the oddity of the matchup. You've got a 5'5" pound-for-pound elite against a 6+ cruiserweight, Oliver says. It's a bit weird. His words capture the David and Goliath narrative that makes this fight so compelling, even as he questions its fairness. Lamont Roach Sr., a trainer with deep ties to the sport, expresses frustration over the state of boxing's matchmaking. He notes that fans were clamoring for a different rematch, one that didn't materialize, leaving promoters to pivot to this spectacle. Roach's perspective highlights the practical realities fighters face, schedules, negotiations, and the need to keep moving forward. His comments give the Paul Davis fight a sense of inevitability, as if it's filling a void left by other missed opportunities. For Roach, it's about momentum, not just hype, and his measured tone underscores the grind behind the glamour.